Let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so what did we see in the previous class? Which was in the previous lifetime, isn't it? 3 weeks back. So do we remember anything? What's the title of chapter 18?
Perfection of renunciation. I just remembered conclusion.
Okay. Conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. So as we discussed, this is only a summary of what Krishna has spoken so far. And in the previous class, we saw Krishna speaking about the qualities of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and the Shudras. So 41 onwards, we saw in the previous class. How many qualities does Krishna mention of a Brahmana? In 42?
9.
9 qualities. Of a Kshatriya?
7. 7.
7.
5.
Yes. For Vaishyas, he gives us 3: farming, cow production, and business. And for the Shudras, he just says that they are the labor class and they give service to others. So a Shudra only knows how to receive an instruction and execute it. Anyway, so here we discussed how Krishna is taking us through the yoga ladder. So this entire section where he's talking about the qualities of the Varnas and how one should do, one should engage in one's occupation according to one's Varna. Even if he does it imperfectly, it's better to stick to his own Varna than do somebody else's work to perfection. Why? Because it's the nature of a person. No, it's the, so even if a person tries to do something else, he is not going to be happy. And then he goes on to explain how every endeavor is covered by some fault. So if a Brahmana is going to think that, okay, when I am doing the Brahmanical work, I have to do some work which is faulty because he may have to slaughter animals and offer in the yagya, and it's better I do the work of a Vaishya or a Shudra or a Kshatriya. Then Krishna explains that no, even the other works are having some fault or the other. So every work is covered by fault, Krishna says. So better to stick to one's own varna, one's own duty, one's own occupation. So like that, he goes, he takes us through the karma section here from 41 to 50. And then in 51 to 53, Krishna is referring to a yogi who is engaged in jnana yoga. So Krishna is describing how he lives in a secluded place, eats little. So here, this entire section here, Krishna is talking about a yogi who is purified in consciousness through his work, and now he has progressed upward in the yoga ladder to the Jnana Yoga stage. And then 51, I'm in 54, Krishna describes how a Jnana Yogi, Jnana Yogi then, from Jnana, he can be led to Bhakti. So this is the verse 54, where Krishna finally says that in that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So now Krishna is going from karma to jnana to bhakti yoga. And from 55 onwards, right up to the stage where he says, Sarva dharmam parityaja, ma mekam sharanam vraja. The famous verse, right up to the level of where Krishna says, just simply surrender unto me, up to the level of Sharanagati. Krishna is going to focus on bhakti yoga. Now in 54, Krishna says Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. So this Brahma Bhuta stage is nothing but the stage of self-realization, or the stage of being completely disconnected from the material concept of life. So because one is completely disconnected from the material concept of life, or one realizes that one is the spirit soul, he's on the spiritual platform now, therefore he's Prasanatma, therefore he's joyful. This Prabhupada later on describes, which we will see in today's class, is confidential knowledge. Because after this, Krishna says that now I'm going to speak to the more confidential and most confidential knowledge. So this knowledge of Brahma Bhuta is confidential knowledge. And then here, let's see, where is that? See here, Krishna says 63. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. So what is confidential knowledge is Brahma Bhuta, which we saw in the previous class. And today we will be seeing still more confidential knowledge, where here Krishna is talking about the super soul. And then Krishna says that he is going to now speak the most confidential knowledge, which is the most confidential knowledge, mana bhava mat bhakto. The same verse that he spoke in chapter 9, he's going to repeat again now in verse number 65, which we will be seeing today. I'm just saying in advance so that we can understand the thread. So confidential, more confidential, and most confidential knowledge. Another important point I wanted to make here is in 54, Krishna says, Mat Bhaktim Labhate Param. So one attains pure devotional service. So what does this mean? One attains pure devotional service means it is already there, inbuilt for us. It's just that we have not realized it. By nature, because we are servants, it's already there. Therefore, when we take to devotional service, automatically we feel joyful and we feel happy. So it's not something that is manufactured or invented later. It's already there. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is one of the acharyas in our disciplic succession, and Srila Prabhupada quotes him also very often. So he says that bhakti is mixed with jnana. It's jnana mishra bhakti in the initial stages. And he compares it, he gives the analogy like gems mixed with stones and pebbles. So what is stones and pebbles here is jnana. And what is the gems, the precious gems is bhakti. So when we come to the stage of pure devotional platform, then the other yoga systems are like separated, are gone away. So now we have pure bhakti in its pure form. This is how when we remove the stones and pebbles, the gems that were already present is now present to us in its pure state, like that. So this is the comparison. So bhakti is something that we attain. It's already there in us, but we come to a stage where we attain bhakti. It's not something that is manufactured later on. Okay. So do we have any questions, or we can proceed with today's class? Okay, please.
Mataji, I
Yes.
have a question. I have, in fact, two questions. One is that is Brahma Bhuta, you said. That Brahma Bhuta is the stage. Is this the same one as we call Nirvikalpa Samadhi also? Brahma Bhuta state? Is it?
I don't
Closer
know
to
what
the-
is Nirvikalp Samadhi. I have not heard that term before. Where do you get it from?
I've heard it a couple of years ago in some book. I read it probably and heard it, or maybe on discourse, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So I don't know if Brahma Bhuta is same. Is like a final realization.
Yeah, so Samadhi is the final stage of Jnana Yoga, no? When they realize the Brahma Jyoti, then that is called reaching the stage of Samadhi. But Nirvikalp Samadhi, that I don't understand what is Nirvikalp.
Maybe
Not
I'll look
read in
into
lots
it.
of books.
Yeah, I will look at it and see what it is. That
Okay.
can be better. And the second question I had was about that understanding passion. What is so? I think I have to read it from. I wrote it in my phone. I'll be right back. But that was about understanding that is to discriminate what is dharma and what is adharma, and to also see. So there is little, unclarity about it, that what we think it's dharma is actually a dharma, and what is adharma is dharma. So regarding that, I had that.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
is
remember the words.
understanding. That is understanding in the three modes. No, you're talking about that section.
If I get my phone, then probably I have that question in that. So I'm just outside on the deck. So I'll be, yes.
Okay, you can look it up. Meantime, then probably we can discuss it at the end of the
Sure,
class. Is that okay?
sure. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I had one question, Mataji.
Yes.
I don't remember the verse, but I remember the translation. It said like, while the person is working in a factory, he doesn't associate with the other workers and he does his own work, and then he attains self-realization or becomes detached. That verse. I didn't understand the part that what does not associating with other workers mean?
Not
Because
associating with other workers means when we have to associate with karmis or gross materialists, we don't take association, we give association. So although we are working with them, we don't get influenced by them. See, when we meet someone who is higher than us, better than us in our spiritual life, then we take association. So we want to get their qualities, we want to become like them. But when we come across people who are not on the spiritual platform, or are gross materialists, and we are trying to follow a spiritual life, then we want to give them our association. We want them to take to bhakti. We don't want to become materialists like them. So we may be working in a work environment, and if we come across people who are not into spirituality or not following principles, then we want to give association, not take. So that's what that statement means by Prabhupada. And the purport, he writes this, right?
yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
So who can volunteer to read today?
Can I do?
I can read.
Yes, thank you. Was that Shreya and Bareya?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you like to read? Who would like to read what?
I'm fine. with
Whichever, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever is
that. Okay,
comfortable.
I'll read other text then.
Okay. Thank
If you are
Shreya.
fine with translation.
So who's doing the translation, please?
Bareya, you're doing the translation and Shreya is doing the other text. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Thanks.
let's hear the shloka.
Sarvakarmanyapi sada
Can you hear?
Yes.
Kurvano madhyapashrayah matprasadadavapnoti shashvatam padamavyayam.
Section 5,
No, here.
1856 to.
Sorry, here.
Okay. So is it okay? 1856. Translation. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotees, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace.
So here, remember, Krishna is now in the Bhakti section and he's going to talk about Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna is again stressing on the point that it is not necessary to refrain from activities. So Krishna is saying that although engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee reaches the eternal and imperishable abode. So again, he's stressing that you don't have to give up any activity. You do all kinds of activities, but you have to only Krishnaize them. That's Bhakti Yoga. So how does that happen? Because when we do any activity, the activity is either going to be good or bad. If it is good activity, we go to the heavenly planets. If it is bad activity, we go to the hellish planets. Either way, we are bound, right? So how is it possible that although the devotee is engaged in all kinds of activities, still he can reach Krishna's abode? Krishna says, under my protection. So he is now focusing that it happens due to my grace, due to Krishna's protection, due to Krishna's mercy, due to Krishna's grace. A devotee, although he is engaged in all kinds of activities, he can reach the supreme abode. So this happens because of Krishna's mercy. Krishna can overwrite the rules of the game for his pure devotee, because Krishna is not under any kind of law. Whatever he says is the law. So by the mercy of Krishna, everything is overwritten and the pure devotee can reach the imperishable abode of Krishna. So if we work under the direction of Krishna, then we invoke Krishna's grace. How will we get the grace of Krishna? When we work under his direction. Just as how a child, when a child is obedient to the parents, then automatically the parent feels all the more affection for the child. Every parent feels affection for the child, of course. But when the child is obedient and he follows your instructions, then you feel even more affectionate towards the child, isn't it? So when we follow Krishna's instructions, then we invoke Krishna's grace even more. And then we are under his protection, just like how Prahlad was completely under the protection of Narsimhadev, isn't it, the Lord? And he came to protect him. Let's go to 57.
Chetasa sarvakarmani mahi sanyasya matparah buddhi yogamupashritya machitta satatam bhava.
Translation. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me.
So now what is the practical application of the knowledge that Krishna gave in 56 for Arjuna? Here he is telling Arjuna directly that just depend upon me in all activities and work under my protection. So like that, Arjuna will not have to worry about taking any other reaction, because now he's under the protection of Krishna. Whatever he's doing under Krishna's protection. So the Arjuna doesn't have to worry about any other factor. Like he said in the first chapter, no, how if he's going to kill his guru, if he's going to kill such stalwart personalities, then he may have to take the karmic reaction, and then there will be irreligion predominant in the society. So he doesn't have to worry about any of those things. He just depends on Krishna's mercy. So he's telling Arjuna that you just depend upon me and work under my protection. And in such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So just see, Arjuna is right in the middle of a battlefield, and he has to face so many weapons, these Brahmastras, and he's killing all the ones he loves so much. Still Krishna is saying, in the middle of the battlefield, when you're fighting the war, you be fully conscious of me. So this is the key for all of us as well. We may be busy in our lives, taking care of our families or our duties, our material duties, so many things we have to deal with, probably an unpleasant boss, or we may have rebellious children, we may have health issues. Some of us may be growing old. We don't like that we are growing old. We may have so many things to deal with. But under all circumstances, we have to be fully conscious of Krishna. That is the key. And what is the best way? How can we be fully conscious of Krishna? The most, devotional service has 9 items, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, which we have discussed several times. What is the first of the 9 items? Shravanam. Shravanam means?
Listening.
Hearing.
Here, yes. Shravanam and Kirtanam are the 2 most important of the 9. Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So when we chant the holy name, we are doing both. Because we chant loudly, we hear also. So the sound vibration enters our ears. So we are hearing and as well we are chanting. When we chant day in and day out, then we become conscious of Krishna. I shared a video in our WhatsApp group of a woman who lost all memory because of her health issue. She had a stroke. The only thing she was able to remember was the Hare Krishna mantra. Did you see that video?
Yes.
Such a beautiful video, isn't it? She doesn't remember anything else. The only thing she remembers for everything, she is reciting the Hare Krishna mantra. So see how Krishna is merciful. That's what she needs to remember. What else is important for her to remember? There was another video and I was looking for it, but I was not able to find it. There was this this devotee, Mataji, she's my god sister, and she was on her deathbed. Just 2 days after that video was shot, she passed away. She is so she has lost all memory. Death is around the corner. She has lost all memory, and they're asking her, what is your name? She doesn't remember. What is your son's name? She doesn't remember the name of her son. She doesn't remember. But she was able to recite the entire pranam mantra of Srila Prabhupada and the pranam mantra of her Guru Maharaj. What is the pranam mantra of Srila Prabhupada? Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So this entire mantra she was able to chant. She remembers that. She was able to chant the entire Maha Mantra, but she does not remember the name of her son also. So just see how Krishna's mercy works. And that's all that she needs to remember at the time of death, isn't it? What more does she need to go back to Godhead? So that's why it's very, very important that we chant the holy name. Anyway, so here Krishna says, in such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So here Krishna is describing the devotee's mood of independence. This is the only thing that we need to do to satisfy Krishna. Nothing else is required. See, what is a devotee's mood? How a devotee completely is dependent on Krishna's mercy. When Srila Prabhupada was on board the Jaladuta, he composed this poem. This is an extract. This is only an extract of the entire poem. It's one of my favorite poems to read. I have read it several times, and every time I read it, I get goosebumps. So let's read this small extract, and we'll see how Prabhupada's mood is that of complete dependence on Krishna. He's on board the Jaladuta. Let's read this.
How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I'm seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jalduta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, dated 18th of September 1965.
So this was 18 September 1965, and we know that ISKCON was registered on in the year 1966, 1 year after this, isn't it? So see, Prabhupada is not praying to Krishna that give me success. He's saying, if you like, he's saying I'm like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. So this is how we have to pray. If you like, my dear Lord Krishna, then we say our prayer. This is how your Prabhupada says, if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable. He's not saying, oh Krishna, make my power of speaking suitable. No, he's saying, if you like, then please. So this is how we have to pray. This is how Prabhupada has taught us to pray to Krishna. Let's read this.
A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now, one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act?
What could be the answer?
Guru's instruction.
The instruction of the spiritual master is not different from the instruction of Krishna, because the spiritual master is a representation of Krishna. So when we receive an instruction from the Guru, we consider it to be as good as the instruction coming from Krishna, because the spiritual master is closer to Krishna than we are, and the spiritual master is a pure devotee. He has Krishna in his heart. So the Paramatma prompts the spiritual master, and the spiritual master gives an instruction. So any success that we can attain is possible only when it is done under the instruction of the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada went to the West and preached. He received the instruction from his spiritual master to do so. And we know that he received success. Let's read.
If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same.
So Krishna's instruction, Krishna may not personally be present here to give us instructions like how he gave it to Arjuna. We may not be so fortunate, but still Krishna's instructions are there in this book. Krishna's instructions are there in the Shastras. Now the instructions are there, but sometimes we may require specific instructions under a specific situation. And that time it's the spiritual master who is going to give us specific instructions. Okay, so let's see points from the purport.
Focus of learning, purport 18.57. A. Mood of servant. Act fully under the direction of Supreme Lord. No individual independence. Unaffected by profit and loss. Acts only on behalf of the master. Discharges his duty faithfully. B. How to exhibit that mood towards Krishna in his absence. Act according to Bhagawad Gita, Krishna's direction, and act under guidance of Krishna's representative. C. Significance of Mat Paraha. One has no goal save and except acting to satisfy Krishna. D. Misuse of concept of devotional service. Doing something whimsical and offering the results to Krishna. Act only according to order of Krishna, which comes through disciplic succession. Prime duty of life, spiritual master's order.
So doing something whimsical and offering the results to Krishna. Now, somebody may say, okay, I am good at gambling. I will go to the gambling house and I will earn some money through gambling, but I will use that money in the service of Krishna. But that is not permitted, because no guru, no disciplic succession, neither the Lord is going to approve the fact that you are using the money through gambling for the service of Krishna. So you cannot do something whimsical, something that comes to my mind and, okay, I just do it, but I don't take any karma because anyway, I'm going to use the money in Krishna service. No, because the guru, the spiritual master and Krishna, they are not going to authorize it. So we cannot do something whimsical. We have to follow the order of Krishna, which comes through disciplic succession, which comes through the Guru Parampara. So if, let's go back to 57. Now there are 3 points here. Krishna is saying, just depend upon me, work under my protection, and be fully conscious of me. Now, if one fulfills all these 3 conditions, then what is it that one can attain? And what is it that one will not attain if one doesn't work under these 3 conditions, is what Krishna is going to speak in 58.
Machchitta sarvadurgani matprasadat tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran nashrosyasi vinangsyasi.
Translation. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
So if we work under what Krishna spoke in verse 57, then what will happen? We will be able to pass through all the obstacles of conditioned life. Now, in conditioned life, a conditioned soul is under the laws of material nature. What are the laws of material nature? Any activity will bring a reaction. Any reaction will keep us here in the material world. But Krishna is saying that if you become conscious of me, so if we become Krishna conscious, then we will be able to pass through the obstacles of conditioned life. Then we are free. We are not bound. How we are free, how we are not bound? Because we don't take any reactions. So this is the result of following Krishna's instruction. But if we do not do so, if we do not work in Krishna consciousness, Krishna says, if however you do not work in such consciousness, but what are we doing? Act through false ego, act through the with the understanding that I am this body, I am not spiritual, I don't understand my spiritual identity. Then what happens? Then we do not hear Krishna and we will be lost. We will be lost. We will be bound in the cycle of birth and death. Now in the next verse 59, Krishna explains, what does it mean? Act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. What exactly does it mean? We will see in 59. But before that, let's read this article.
Got big problems? Krishna is bigger. When life's problems overwhelm us, our vision becomes distorted. We start feeling that the problems are ultra big, bigger than even Krishna. Consequently, we become so preoccupied in coping with them that our spiritual practices become distracted. Gita wisdom helps us understand that resuming proper contemplation on Krishna is the first way to deal with any problem. The Bhagawad Gita 18.58 reminds us that if we become conscious of Him, He will, by His grace, help us to cross over all problems. He is far bigger than any problem. For Him, solving our biggest problem is no big deal. He can empower us to tackle or transcend it by one moment of illumination. Let me not tell Krishna how big my problems are. Let me tell my problems how big Krishna is. Chaitanya Charandas.
Okay, let's go to 59.
Yadahankaramashritya nayotsya iti manyase mithyaisha vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshati.
Translation. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare.
So see what Krishna is telling Arjuna here. He's telling him that even if now you do not fight and you do not follow my instruction, you will be falsely directed. What is he saying? That you will have to be engaged in warfare by your nature. So because it is Arjuna's nature to fight, because he's a Kshatriya by nature, anyway, he will fight in the future. He's saying by your nature, you will have to be engaged. You will have to fight anyway. So even if Arjuna refuses to fight now, Krishna is saying anyway, because of your nature of a Kshatriya, you will fight. Let's see what more Krishna says.
स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय निबद्धस्वेन कर्मणा कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहान् करिष्यस्य वशोऽपिता.
Translation: under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti.
So again, here Krishna is telling him that it's in your interest to follow my instructions and fight the war, because otherwise, again, anyway, you will have to fight, but at that time you will be bound. Because if one acts according to Krishna's instruction, then one is not bound. If one acts outside of Krishna's instruction, then one is bound. So inactivity is not an option at all. Work we have to do. If we work under Krishna's instruction, then we are not bound. Just like how in the Mahabharata war, Yudhishthir spoke half a lie, isn't it? When they wanted, what's his name? Dronacharya. When they wanted Dronacharya was fighting with all might and they were finding it difficult to defeat him, isn't it? But Krishna knew that Dronacharya's weakness was his affection, his attachment towards his son. So Krishna told Yudhishthir that you speak this half lie, say that Ashwadhama has been killed. Now, who was the Ashwadhama who was killed on the battlefield? It was not Dronacharya's son, but it was an elephant called Ashwadhama, isn't it? Now, Yudhishthir so far had followed Krishna's instructions without any hesitancy. And this was the first time ever that Yudhishthir hesitated for a moment that should I say this half lie or no. And because Yudhishthir hesitated for that moment to follow Krishna's instruction, therefore that was for the first time that Yudhishthir's chariot touched the ground in the battlefield. Yudhishthir was one person who had never spoken any lie all his life. And many people interpret and say that Yudhishthir's chariot touched the ground at that time because he spoke that half lie. But no, actually the Acharyas explained that Yudhishthir's chariot touched the ground at that time because it was for the first time that Yudhishthir hesitated to follow Krishna's instruction. That's why the chariot touched the ground. So now because Yudhishthir spoke that half a lie under Krishna's instruction, Yudhishthir is free from reaction. He is not going to take the reaction for it. So that's what Krishna means, that when you work under my direction, then you are not bound, then you are free. So again, he is saying that you are going to be compelled to work born of your own nature. So we have to do either way. But if we work under Krishna's instruction, then we are free.
Mataji, can I ask a question regarding this? Like Yudhishthir, of course, just one moment he was hesitant. And for that, his chariot kind of touched the ground, as you said, not because he spoke half lie. When Arjuna went to the battlefield first time, he had so many questions to begin with when they went in the middle of the battlefield, and he almost refused to fight, and he gave up, that I don't want to, because I don't want to cause this misery and downfall to my own people. So Lord Krishna took so long to make him understand all this process. So he was not it's not punishment, but he was not held accountable or anything for those kind of activity, even asking very dumb questions, or even not even acting in the form dutifully as a Kshatriya, because he refused to fight, he put the weapons down. So for that, he wasn't held accountable for anything.
Yeah, so we have to understand, first of all, that this conversation of Bhagavad Gita between Krishna and Arjuna, it happened only for 40 to 45 minutes, the Acharyas explain. So it's not that we are taking 1.5 years to understand this, but it was spoken within a span of 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, so it didn't take that long. And another thing is Arjuna's questions are not actually dumb. They are actually very, very intelligent questions. And it was because Arjuna asked those questions that we got the gems from Krishna, and we are able to study and derive knowledge from it. So asking questions is actually a sign of intelligence. Even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you see a lot of questions were asked by Maharaj Parikshit to Sukadeva Goswami, and that's how this conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit flowed. And that time, Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit that your questions are for the benefit of all humanity, because we are benefiting because those questions were asked. So, see, Arjuna actually is a fully self-realized soul. He's a pure devotee. He's already proven that he's a pure devotee when he chose, or when he was happy, when he chose Krishna over Krishna's army before the battlefield, remember? So Arjuna is a pure devotee, but this is like a leela or a stage play that was done for the benefit of us. If Arjuna had not asked those questions, we would have not had this Bhagavad Gita today. And Krishna also chose the battlefield of Kurukshetra to speak this knowledge. It's a very, very dramatic scene, dramatic situation in which this Gita was spoken. Why? Because nobody can say that, okay, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita in a cave or in a forest or in a temple. But our situation is not like that. We are in the midst of our battlefield of life, and we are battling and struggling with so many things. So nobody can give that excuse. And that's the reason why Krishna chose that dramatic setting of a battlefield, right in the middle of battlefield, and he's telling Arjuna, be conscious of me. Who can be in a worse situation than Arjuna? We cannot say no, but I have so many things to battle with. Well, if Arjuna was expected to be conscious of Krishna when he's in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, we have no excuse why we cannot be conscious of Krishna. So these are the reasons why this entire thing was put up.
But he was called Kayar, if not dumb, I should say, but Kayar, that I just used the wrong word. Kayar means coward.
Yeah,
Like
Krishna did.
questions.
Krishna did call him a coward in the beginning, and he also says that yes, Krishna. But again, we have to understand that it's a leela, it's a stage play that is done for our benefit. Arjuna doesn't require the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. He's already a fully realized transcendental soul. He's already a pure devotee. He doesn't require it. We require it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's read this.
18.60. Krishna herein continues instructing all conditioned souls to surrender to him because it is in their own interest. If we choose not to surrender to Krishna, however, it does not mean that we'll be able to remain independent. All, those who surrender and those who do not, are controlled. The difference is that the surrendered souls are controlled and protected by Krishna, and the unsurrendered are forced to dance like marionettes, their strings pulled by illusion.
So if we choose to not surrender to Krishna, then we will be forced to work under the direction of Maya. We have to accept the dominance of either Krishna or Maya. So that is a choice we have to make. If we choose not to surrender to Krishna, then Maya is going to force us to work under her direction. Either way, we are going to be controlled. We can never become the controllers. So either we choose that, okay, be humble, otherwise we will be humbled by Maya, because Maya doesn't play nice, isn't it? She does her service to perfection. So she promises us the world, but in the end, it's only pain that she's going to bring to us. Let's read this question.
Whether or not Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, he will fight. Why then, chapter after chapter, has Krishna pushed Arjuna to fight? What was the necessity of Krishna's offering numerous instructions?
So see, Krishna is telling Arjuna that even if you don't fight now under my direction, because it's your nature as a Kshatriya, anyway, in the future, you are going to fight only. So either way, Krishna is saying that either way, Arjuna is going to fight anyway. So then what is the need for Krishna giving him the instruction to fight? Because anyway, Arjuna is going to fight, he says. What could be the answer to this question? What is the difference between Arjuna fighting now and Arjuna fighting later because of his nature of a Kshatriya?
This would be under the Krishna's instructions, right? Because Krishna directed him to fight. And then later on, if he fights, it will be by his own will, not because Krishna is telling him to do.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So if Arjuna fights now, it's going to be under Krishna's instruction. And what does Krishna want for his pure devotee? He wants the well-being of his pure devotee. So Krishna wants Arjuna to fight now under his direction for Arjuna's benefit. Let's read this.
Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight in the proper consciousness, in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he told Arjuna to surrender unto him and fight on his order with devotion. Do it, Krishna explained, because I have already killed Bhishma, Karna, Drona, all these warriors. The armies have already been defeated and the battle has already been won. Krishna doesn't require Arjuna's martial skill for victory, but he wants Arjuna to act with devotion as his instrument. Arjuna's devotion will be expressed by fighting on the battlefield. So surrender unto me.
So this book, Surrender Unto Me, is a very nice guide to the Bhagavad Gita. It's written by Bhurijan Prabhu. He is a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. If you can purchase this book, and you read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, and this as a guide to Prabhupada's Gita as it is, it's a very, it gives you very, very nice, complete understanding.
Who's the author, Mataji?
Bhurijan Prabhu. Bhurijan
Bhurijan
Das. Okay, so Krishna is telling Arjuna that I have already killed Bhishma, Karna, Drona. I've already killed all the warriors on the Kaurava side. The battle has already been won. The opposite side has already been defeated. But I want you to fight the war and you work as my instrument. So Krishna already has a result. He's just using Arjuna as an instrument. And he wants Arjuna to take the credit because Arjuna got the credit for fighting the war and for killing these warriors, isn't it? So Krishna always wants his devotees to get the credit. And how do we glorify Arjuna? Arjuna's bhakti is expressed by his fighting on the battlefield. Why? Because he has fought under the instruction of Krishna. When somebody is a devotee of someone, then it means that you have to follow the instructions of that person. Now, somebody told me that she doesn't want to attend the Gita classes because she is a devotee of Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba. So I just told her, very nice, but does she know what are the instructions of Shirdi Sai Baba? So she says, no, she doesn't know. So then she researched and she realized that his instruction for everyone was to read the Bhagavad Gita and follow the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. So when we say that we are a devotee of such a person, and of course, if the person is bona fide and genuine, then we should be able to follow the instructions of that person. What is the point in saying that you're a devotee of a person, but you're not ready to follow the person's instruction? Then what kind of a devotion is that? That's not devotion then. Anyway, so here is a progression of what we have seen so far. Let's read.
Chapter 18, Progression, verses 40 to 55, Gradual Way, Karma, Jnana, Moksha. Verses 56 to 58, Rapid Way, Bhakti. Verses 59 to 60, if don't follow either, then you are lost.
So in the previous class, we saw these verses 40 to 45, as we discussed in the beginning. Krishna is going from karma to jnana, and then he spoke about how from jnana one can go to the bhakti stage. Then 56 to 58, Krishna spoke about bhakti yoga, and then he told Arjuna that if you follow this, then you are not bound, but if you don't follow this, then you are lost. So this is a progression of these verses. Now we come to the next section where Krishna is going to speak more confidential knowledge. So as we discussed earlier, confidential knowledge is Brahma Bhuta stage. Now Krishna says that he's going to speak more confidential knowledge. Let's read this.
Section 7, 18.61 to 63. More confidential knowledge, surrender to super soul. More confidential knowledge than the knowledge that one is spirit soul is knowledge that one should surrender to the super soul.
So as I said, Brahma Bhuta means to come to the understanding that one is, or to come to the stage where one is completely disconnected from the material concept of life. So that means one has come to the understanding that one is the spirit soul and one is completely spiritual in nature. So that is confidential knowledge. Now Krishna is going to talk about the super soul, and then he himself says that this is the more confidential knowledge.
ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति भ्रामयन् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया.
Maria, you are on mute.
Baraya, are you there? You're on mute, Mataji.
Now, I was reading, but maybe my headphone wasn't working. Translation: the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy.
So now Krishna is saying that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. He's talking about the Paramatma. And what is this Paramatma doing? He is the master puppeteer. He is directing the wanderings of all the living entities. And we living entities are seated as on a machine. Krishna says yantra. He uses the word yantra. So we are all placed on a yantra, on a machine. And what is that machine? What is that yantra? It is material nature. We are all here placed in this material world under the direction of material energy. But it is Krishna who's pulling the strings, and he's directing us.
Mataji, is it a machine can be also our body? Because are we not like this body is the one? So is it just the machine which you think it is the nature that is three modes and all that 5 elements, but it's not the body?
Yeah, the body is a part of material energy, right? The body is also material. So under the broad umbrella of material energy, we have all these different kinds of bodies. This current body is one aspect of material nature.
So the material energy is pervading everywhere. So if the machine is collapsed, like the human body also machine, so if it leaves, the soul leaves, that means the material energy is still around, but we just leave, the machine is not working. Is something, does it make sense? That's what probably I'm thinking about. So
then another body is provided to us, right? Under the framework of material energy, once this body is gone, then we are provided with another body.
Astral, those kind of things, those are the other body you're talking about which don't die, or is it not?
No, another body. We may be born in the body of a pig and an ant, or in the body of a demigod. There are 8,400,000 kinds of bodies.
Different yonis.
Yes, different yonis.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so here we see how different living entities, doesn't matter whether one is Indian or American, Hindu, Muslim or Christian, whether one is young or old, animal or fish or tree or a demigod, the Paramatma is situated in the heart of every living entity. And he's directing the wanderings of all these living entities. Okay, so I will read this. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the super soul. As long as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. So when we are under a particular body, then we have to work under that situation. So we know how Lord Brahma was... Lord Indra was cursed to become a hog, and he was living in the body of a hog with his wife pig and the piglets, etc. And he was eating stool, and he thought that this is great, this is wonderful, isn't it? So when we are in the body, when we are in a particular body, then we have to act according to the body that we have. If we are in the body of a dog, then we are going to bark. If you're in the body of a hog, then we are going to eat all kinds of filthy things and think that this is great. But now in the body of a human being, we think that, oh, that is so obnoxious, right? Or if one is in the body of a worm, and that worm is living in the stool, and that worm is thinking, oh, this is so warm and nice and comfortable, But we think that this is obnoxious because now we are in the body of a human being. So we act under the spell of that particular body that we have. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car. Though the living entities, the drivers may be the same. So the driver is the same. The soul is the same. Even the super soul, actually the super soul is the driver of the car, and the living entity is only a passenger. So the same super soul who's in the body of a demigod is also there in the body of the worm in the stool. But still there are high-speed motor cars and cars that go slower, although the driver may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the super soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity. So different bodies are given to different living entities. So that why? So that he may work according to his past desires. The current body that we have got is based on our past desire. If somebody is in the body of a hog, then it's according to his past desire. So, one must not think that once I've got the human body, then after that, that's it. I don't have to go, I don't get a D grade. No, if my desire is to enjoy like the animals, if I have the animalistic mentality to eat, sleep, mate and defend like an animal, then I can get a downgrade also. Human body is to be used for realizing God. That's why human body is superior to the animalistic body. But if we don't use it accordingly, then we can get a downgrade. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. So we are always dependent on the Lord. We are never independent. We are not, we are not. We should not think that we are independent or we can do things without without receiving the mercy of the Lord. The Acharyas explain that even one leaf cannot move without the Lord sanctioning it. So the car here in this analogy is the body of the living entity. Who's the passenger of the car?
The soul,
The soul.
living entity.
Yes, soul, living entity, same thing. Who's the driver of the car?
Super.
The super soul or the Lord, because Krishna says that he is directing the wanderings as dictated by the desire of the living entity. So the passenger tells the driver, okay, take me here, take me there, I want to go to this spot. So the driver takes him there. Like that, Krishna is directing the wanderings as dictated by the desire of the living entity. Is the living entity who desires to live a particular way, therefore he provides accordingly.
Mataji, I have one question with this. So if the living entity is sitting in a slow car, but the driver is the same, the super soul is the same, but with the knowledge and with the bona fide guru's, direction, the living entity gets better. And in that particular body, if the living entity want to sit in a high speed motor car, is it possible?
Yeah, then he will be provided with a high-speed car. The next car that he will be provided to him will be a high-speed car. The next body that will be provided to him will be a better body.
So why has to be getting another body? Why I have to be born and get another body in order to sit in the high-speed car? Why not in the same? Because you already have realization and you have the grace of the bona fide master, and your super soul is the same, who will be in the slow car as well as in the high-speed car. So why taking another birth? Or getting another body?
Yeah, because the current body he has got from what he did in the past. So he has to live so many years in that particular body of the animal till he finishes the karma of the previous lifetime. That has to be accounted for. When he finishes with that account, then he is provided with the next car. He has to finish with the previous business first before he's provided with the next car, the next body.
There is no hope, only in the next.
No, there is hope. No, there is hope. Why? I mean, the hope is that you get a better body. Because see, you are going to a particular destination. Now you are going to a particular destination and you want a better car, then you have to get down from the old car and take a new car, right? How can you make the old car go faster? Because the old car has a speed limit. It cannot go like a racer car. So you switch bodies, you get a better body. In that body, you realize, you take to bhakti, you realize God, and you can attain Godhead. Now, in a special case, there are some special cases, of course, like for example, in Chaitanya Leela, Lord Chaitanya fed a green coconut to a dog, and the dog attained the spiritual realm. He attained liberation. So these are special, rare cases, but it's not the general rule. General rule, to come to God realization, you need a human body. Because how will a dog can I hold a Zoom session and a Bhagavad Gita class for dogs? Are they going to understand?
Yeah, no, you cannot.
Yeah, so that's why you need to switch cars. You will get a better body based on your current desires. You can get a better body and realize God. But if you're already in a human body, then you realize God in this lifetime itself. Actually, it takes many lifetimes, millions of lifetimes to come to the stage of realizing God. But Srila Prabhupada said that if you chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles under the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, then you can go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. Then no more switching cars, no more bodies. It can be done in this lifetime itself. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji.
Mataji, I had one question too.
Yes.
Shouldn't it be like, shouldn't our aim is be like to reverse the situation? Like we should be the driver and Krishna should be the passenger. Like wherever he takes us, we should drive our car.
No, but how can because Krishna, see, we are going by this verse. Krishna says that the super soul is directing the wanderings of all living entities. So we are working under the direction of Krishna.
Right.
Krishna will not work under our direction. Now, say, in the case of a pure devotee, now Arjuna is, now Krishna is the chariot driver. And Arjuna is telling him, take me here, take me there. And Krishna is taking the chariot. Okay, I'll take you here, take you. So like that, Krishna is directing the wanderings of all the living entities based on the desire. But the relationship between the Lord and his devotee is so sweet and so intimate that one can bring the controller under control by bhakti. This is what we learn from Damodar Leela, that the Supreme Lord Krishna agreed to be bound by his pure devotee, by Mother Yashoda. He agreed. We cannot bind Krishna. Right? We cannot bring him under our control, because who can control God? But Krishna agrees to be bound by his causeless mercy. We discussed when we did the Damodar Leela class that how when Mother Yashoda was trying to tie him, all the Shaktis, all the potencies of Krishna were manifesting one after the other. For example, his potency of strength, Bala, would now his strength potency does not want that Krishna is bound, because who can be stronger than Krishna? So like that, Krishna has unlimited potencies, and all his potencies were manifesting one after the other, and were preventing the ropes from coming together and binding him. But finally, one potency of Krishna manifested, and all the other potencies accepted defeat and disappeared. What was that one potency of Krishna?
His mercy.
His mercy potency, yes, mercy potency. So when Krishna's mercy potency manifested, all other potencies disappeared, and then Mother Yashoda was able to bring the ropes together and tie it. So Krishna's mercy potency is higher than all other potencies, and that's when Krishna comes under the control. He who is the supreme controller agrees to come under the control of his devotees. So that's the sweetness of the relationship between the Lord and his devotees.
Okay. And therefore he just follows his devotees' instructions, being the driver.
Yes, not only devotees. See, being the driver, See, for a non-devotee, let's say a non-devotee, a non-devotee, a gross materialist, he has no desire to go back to Krishna. He wants to continue to enjoy in the material world. So he says, okay, you enjoy. Krishna does not force.
Because we have a free will. So
Yes, we
that's
have free will. So even for a non-devotee, he's directing the wanderings as a driver. He's the one who's pulling the strings. Driver means he's pulling the strings. And he's taking you wherever you want to go according to your desire, whether you're a devotee or a non-devotee. There we don't apply this principle.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Okay. So high-speed cars are the best material bodies. What are the best material bodies in the universe?
Human body.
Human bodies. So what is the medium? So there is good, better, and best. So if human bodies are the best, then what is better and what is a good body?
The one with Krishna consciousness.
Oh,
With
that's
the
not a
best.
material body. A body who's in Krishna consciousness is not a material body anymore. Now we are talking about the spiritual platform. Okay, but here, material bodies. Is there any body better than a human body?
I don't think so.
Maybe a body of a demigod.
Ah, yes, now you got it.
Oh, yeah.
Bodies of demigods and sages up to Lord Brahma, they are the best material bodies. Average speed, not slow, not fast. What kind of body?
That could be a human body. Or
Human
no, I think
body.
slow speed. Okay, okay.
No, that's human body. That
That
is
would be
correct.
the slow.
And slow cars with the least facilities are the bodies that are less than human beings. So any kind of animal, bird, aquatic, all these species come under slow cars.
Where does the angel comes, Mataji? Angels.
Angels are angels are residents of the higher planetary systems. So they come under best material bodies, bodies of demigods, sages.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So one
Mataji, I
is
had one more question.
yes.
Sorry. So we see some type of human beings who are like they are not better than animals. Like they do stuff like that. But then how could this type of mentality, could gain them a human body? Like what could they have been done in the past that they could be in a human body, but then they are, they are no less than an animal.
Yeah, so any living entity who has a human body at some stage in the previous lifetime, somehow or the other began his devotional service, knowingly or unknowingly. Unknowingly, maybe by chance, he happened to do some devotional service, or by chance, he may have served a Vaishnava in his previous lifetime. Probably he's a doctor, he's a gross materialist, he's a hardcore atheist. He doesn't believe in the existence of God, but somehow he has attended to a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava went to him for treatment and he has treated that Vaishnava, and therefore he has begun his devotional service. So anyone who has got a human body has at some point, somehow or the other, knowingly or unknowingly, performed some devotional service in the previous lifetime to get him the human body in this lifetime.
Which we call a Sukriti.
Sukriti, yes. Sukriti is when you do it knowingly, and Agyata Sukriti is when you do devotional service unknowingly. Yes, correct. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now based on this verse where Krishna is saying that he is directing the wanderings of all the living entities, one may say, okay, then if I make a mistake, if I commit a sinful activity, then it is Krishna's plan, because Krishna says that he is directing the wanderings of all the living entities. So whatever mistakes I do, whatever sinful activities I engage in, then that is Krishna's plan. But we should understand that our mistakes are not Krishna's plan, but Krishna's plan accommodates our mistakes. Krishna's plan accommodates our mistakes because he is directing the living entities based on what we desire. Let's read this article.
Our mistakes are not Krishna's plan, but Krishna's plan accommodates our mistakes. Some people say, everything is God's plan. Is it really? Are our mistakes his plan? If some people become alcoholics or commit suicide, did God plan that they ruin their lives? Gita wisdom explains that Krishna has a plan for our ultimate well-being. He wants us to realize our spiritual identity and destiny, thereby relishing eternal love for him. For this plan to work, we need to play our part. How? By learning to love him and to live harmoniously with his will. If we act otherwise, giving in to our mind's short-sighted impulses, those actions are our mistakes. Krishna didn't want us to make those mistakes. Nonetheless, Krishna's plan is so resilient that it isn't foiled by our lapses. It accommodates those wrong choices. To illustrate, consider the example of driving to a destination along an unfamiliar route, being guided by Google Maps. Suppose a map app tells us to turn right, but we turn left. The app doesn't quit. It immediately recalibrates and shows us a modified route. Similarly, if we make a mistake, Krishna doesn't abandon us. He still stays in our heart and keeps guiding us to come back on track. The Bhagavad Gita 18.61 states that he always accompanies us during our worldly wanderings. Of course, mistakes aren't inconsequential. While driving, if we take a wrong turn, we prolong our drive. Similarly, if we make wrong choices, we delay our spiritual growth and may even have to incur karmic consequences, but still will never be deprived of Krishna's unfailing love and untiring guidance. By Chaitanya Charandas.
So see how merciful, how compassionate Krishna is. He follows us life after life after life. We choose to enjoy like animals. Therefore, because of our choice, we get the body of a worm in stool. There also Krishna is accompanying us. He's accompanying us even in the most obnoxious bodies, life after life after life, and he never gives up on us, never gives up on us. He's guiding us. The only time he leaves us is when we enter the spiritual world. When we go back to the spiritual world, that's when the super soul does not accompany us there, because there we don't need his guidance anymore as a super soul, because there we are with Krishna, with Krishna, the person himself, right? So we see how, just as how the Google Map app doesn't give up, every time we take a wrong turn, again it recalculates the map and tells us, okay, now you take this turn, now you take this turn. So the map never gives up. In the same way, Krishna never abandons us. Let's go to 62.
तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Translation. O Session of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode.
So Krishna is instructing that surrender to the super soul. Surrendering to super soul means surrendering to Krishna. Why? Because the super soul is coming from whom? From whom, sorry?
Shirodakshai Vishnu.
Shirodakashai Vishnu is, the super soul is Shirodakashai Vishnu.
But it's coming from Mahavishnu.
No, no. Shirodakashai Vishnu comes from?
Garbhodakshai Vishnu.
Ah, yes. Shirodakashai Vishnu comes from Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Garbhodakashai Vishnu comes from Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu comes from?
Krishna.
Yes, Mahavishnu comes from Krishna. Mahavishnu is Krishna's first expansion in the material world. Who is Krishna's first expansion?
Balaram.
Balaram. Yes, very nice. Okay. 63.
I think Gayatri have a question, Mataji.
Yes.
She raised her hand.
Gayatri, you have a question?
Yes, Nandita. I have a question that, like, if Krishna is going to drive the cars for devotees and non-devotees, so what is the difference between, like, what is the difference between the devotees and non-devotees?
What is the difference between the devotees and non-devotees? In the case of devotees, Krishna drives the car directly to the spiritual realm. So no more wandering here and there. No more taking birth again and again in the cycle of birth and death. Then the car is going to be heading towards the spiritual realm.
Yes, Nandita, got it. Thank you.
So 63.
इति ते ज्ञानमाख्यातं गुह्याद् गुह्यतरं मया विमृश्यैतद्दशेषेण यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु.
Translation. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberates on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
So Krishna says that I have now explained to you still more confidential knowledge. What is more confidential knowledge? The knowledge of the super soul that Krishna has given. And then see Krishna, what does he say? He says, Yathe chasi tatha kuru. He's saying, deliberate on this fully, and then you do what you wish to do. So Krishna is not saying, hey, I have wasted 45 minutes of my time and I have explained this knowledge. I have put in so much effort, and still if you're not able to understand, I mean, he's not chastising Arjuna. Even after he spoke all this, ultimately he's telling him, now you can do whatever you wish to do. So he's not forcing Arjuna. He's not saying, hey, I am God, you are my disciple. You have accepted me as your spiritual master. You just follow my instruction. He is telling him, you deliberate on this. I have given you all this knowledge. Now it's up to you what you want to do. So Krishna is not forcing Arjuna, and Krishna does not force us. He does not force us. So we have our free will. So again, we see how Krishna is being so loving, so compassionate, and so merciful. Okay, let's go to the next section. Here, Krishna is going to explain the most confidential knowledge. Let's go to 64.
सर्वगुह्यतमं भूयः शृणु मे परमं वचः इष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितम्.
Translation. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instructions, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit.
So see, this verse is very, very special because in this verse, Krishna is using two superlatives, two expressions of great praise and two expressions showing great affection. Now, when he says Sarva Guhyatamam, the most confidential knowledge, and then he says Paramam Vacha, the supreme instruction. So these are the two superlatives that Krishna is using in this one shloka. And what are the two expressions of extreme affection that he is using is when he says, Ishta Asi, you are very dear to me, Krishna tells Arjuna. And then he says, Te Hitam, I am speaking this for your benefit. So this is again a very, very special verse for this reason. He's saying, because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you this supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge. And he says, why is he speaking this? Why does he want Arjuna to hear? Because he says this is for your benefit. So Krishna is speaking this for our benefit.
मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे.
So what is this supreme instruction that Krishna says in 64? He said that now for your benefit, because you are very dear to me, I am going to speak this most confidential knowledge. What is it? The most confidential knowledge? Krishna says in 65 and 66. Let's read this.
Translation. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
So this is the only verse that Krishna has spoken twice in the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 9 also, which is titled The Most Confidential Knowledge, Krishna said, Man mana bhava mat bhakto, mat yaji mam namaskuru. Same thing he spoke in chapter 9. So what is the difference between the the verse in chapter 9 and this particular verse which he spoke just now, 1865, is in 9.34, the emphasis is on our obligation. In 1865, the emphasis is on Krishna's love and promise. Because you see in 65, there is more affection, there is more love. And Krishna is making a promise here in 65. So the first two lines of the shloka are the same. The last two lines differ a little bit, but the meaning, the basic understanding is the same. So when Krishna says something twice, it means it is that much more important. So what is it? What is Krishna's supreme instruction? He's saying, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Krishna is not mentioning a third party. He's not saying, think of somebody else, some other devata or some other. He is saying Krishna's clear instruction is, think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me. And then Krishna makes a promise. He says what? What is Krishna's promise? You will come to me without fail. So very, very important instruction. Now Krishna speaks the most famous verse, the verse that is most quoted in Gita classes.
Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha.
There is some disturbance. I don't know. I'm getting it. But anyway, translation. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
So what is Krishna saying now? Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So Krishna is basically saying, just forget everything that I have taught you so far. Okay, everything Krishna is saying, whatever I've said so far, just forget it. That's not important. Why? Because Krishna has spoken other yoga systems. No, he has spoken karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. He is saying, just forget everything else. Abandon all varieties of religion. Just surrender unto me. So you see, Krishna is feeling compassionate for Arjuna because he's saying that Arjuna has been listening for so long and he's still contemplative, he's still considering, he's still thinking, and he's not yet able to take a decision. So now Krishna is feeling compassion towards Arjuna and he's saying, okay, fine, just forget everything else. Doesn't matter. Just surrender unto me. Make it simple. So now Krishna is just simplifying his instruction for Arjuna and he's saying, just surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Whatever sinful reactions are there, sarva papebhyo, all the sinful reaction, I will deliver you, he says. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. So Arjuna doesn't have to worry about anything else. We don't have to worry about anything else. Arjuna doesn't have to worry about taking any sinful reaction for killing all those people on the battlefield. We don't have to worry about taking any sinful reactions when we engage in Krishna conscious activities. And Krishna says, do not fear. Ma suchaha. Do not fear, Krishna says. So now we will come to the next section of the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is explaining whom, now Krishna has spoken the knowledge, given the knowledge to Arjuna. Now, how can we carry this on? What kind of people can we preach this knowledge to? Krishna is going to explain that. And for those who teach the Bhagavad Gita, what is the benefit that they receive? And those who hear or learn the Bhagavad Gita, what is the benefit that they receive? Krishna is going to explain in this section.
Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati.
Translation. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not astray or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
So Krishna is saying that you should not speak this knowledge, you should not give this knowledge to one who is not austere. One who is not austere means one who is not plain, one is not simple, one who is not devoted, and one who is not engaged in devotional service. So to these three categories, Krishna says that you must not give this knowledge. Why? Or one who is envious. One who is envious to Krishna also, one does not give this knowledge. Why? Because such people will never be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Only they will cause problems. They will always counter argue, always be challenging, and they will end up end up offending even more the Lord. And so they are crediting their, debiting their spiritual bank balance even more. So they are going to go deeper and deeper in the ocean of birth and death, because for the sake of argument, for the sake of not accepting Krishna, because they are envious of Krishna, because they are not devoted, because they are not sincere, they are not simple, they will end up committing even more offenses. So therefore, Krishna says that this knowledge should not be spoken to these three categories of people. But sometimes when we when we go out on book distribution, or sometimes when open classes are given, probably there's somebody in the audience who does not fulfill these three categories. So how do we explain that? Is that a devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. Because the devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. Although Krishna is giving these conditions, the Lord gives this knowledge. This is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he came in the mood of a devotee. So he freely distributed the holy name. He freely distributed this Maha Mantra to everyone, irrespective of whether one is qualified or one is not qualified, because now he's in the mood of a devotee. And as we said, a devotee is more merciful than Krishna.
Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabhidhasyate bhaktim mahi param krutva mame vaishyatya samshayah.
Translation. For one who explained the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me.
So this is the blessing for one who teaches the Bhagavad Gita. One who teaches his Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is guaranteed for that person? Pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. So this is the benefit for one who is teaching the Bhagavad Gita. Devotional service is guaranteed. Why is devotional service so powerful? Is because only through devotional service, one can bring the Supreme Controller under control, which we discussed just a few minutes back.
न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन्मे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मान् अन्यः प्रियतरो भुवि.
Translation. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
So who is the servant who is most dear to Krishna? One who
Preaches the Bhagavad
one
Gita.
who, yes, one who teaches, because remember 69 is a continuation of 68. So Krishna is saying one who teaches the Bhagavad Gita. There is no servant in the world more dear to Krishna than such a person, nor will there ever be one who is more dear to Krishna. So this is the benefit of giving this knowledge to the others.
अध्येष्यते च य इमम् धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहम् इष्टस्यामिति मे मतिः.
Translation. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
So here is the blessing or the benefit for a person who's a student of the Bhagavad Gita. Just by studying this Gita, one is worshipping the Lord by his intelligence. So we know that we have put in our intelligence, we have put in our time in studying this Gita, in learning this Gita, in giving the exams, reading and reading the purports every time. So every time we have read and studied and tried to understand, we have been worshipping the Lord by our intelligence. Oops.
श्रद्धावाननसूयश्च शृणुयादपि यो नरः सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभान् लोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम्.
Translation. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell.
So this is another benefit for one who's a student of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that such a person will be free from sinful reactions and one can attain the auspicious planets. One can attain to the spiritual planets where the pious dwell, where the self-realized souls, pure devotees dwell. So now we come to the next section where we see Arjuna says that he is ready to accept Krishna's instruction.
कच्चिदेतच्छ्रुतं पार्थ त्वयैकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रनष्टस्ते धनञ्जय.
Translation. O son of Pratha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind, and are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled?
So now Krishna is asking Arjuna that have you heard attentively? Is your ignorance gone? Are your illusions now gone? Are you satisfied? Because Krishna wants Arjuna's well-being, and therefore he's asking him that is everything okay? Is everything fine? And if Arjuna would have said no, if he had further doubts, if Arjuna says that I am still under illusion, I am not yet convinced, Krishna would have repeated the entire Bhagavad Gita again to him. Krishna would be willing to do that for the benefit of his devotee.
अर्जुन उवाच नष्टो मोहः स्मृतिर्लब्धा त्वत्प्रसादात्मयाच्युत स्थितोऽस्मि गतसन्देहः करिष्ये वचनं तव.
Translation. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions.
So when Krishna asks him that has your illusion gone, are you convinced? What does Arjuna says? That yes, I am now firm, I am free from doubt, my illusion is gone, I have regained my memory by your mercy. So Arjuna is not saying that, oh yes, I am intelligent, I can understand, I'm not a fool. He is saying that by your mercy, oh Krishna, I have regained my memory. I am free from doubt, he is firm. And Arjuna says, I am prepared to act according to your instructions. So see here, Arjuna now represents a fully self-realized soul. And even now, though he's illuminated or he's fully self-realized, he is now on the liberated platform. He represents a devotee on the liberated. It's not that Arjuna was not on the liberated platform, but again, for the sake of Leela, we understand that now in this verse, Arjuna is on the liberated platform. Even now, even under the liberated platform, he's accepting the dominance of Krishna. He says that I am prepared to act according to your instruction. So this verse, Prabhupada explains, it defeats the Mayavad philosophy, because the Mayavad philosophy is what? They say that once one comes out of illusion, once one is on the liberated platform, once one is illuminated, then one is equal to Krishna. No, but here, even though Arjuna is on the liberated platform, even at this stage, he is accepting the dominance of Krishna, and he says that I am prepared to act according to your instructions. So which means that we can never become equal to God, even on the liberated stage, even after we attain liberation. This is the point that Srila Prabhupada says.
Mataji, in this particular one, here it says, see, I'm free from doubt. I'm now firm and free from doubt, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. So when I have one previous question about Yudhishthira, when he doubted Lord Krishna, when he said that you go and speak that half truth, that Ashwathama is dead, the elephant was dead, of course, but so he had doubt too. And here even Krishna is having a doubt, and he's agreeing that now my doubts are gone. So now I'm rephrasing my question. So even he had doubts about many questions when he was asking those questions. As you said, that he was representing us as human beings. he was very intelligent, but he became kind of a mediator, right? Because Lord Krishna has to tell Bhagavad Gita, and he was Nimit Mat or whatever, because he was such a higher evolved soul, Arjuna. So here he's asking those questions. Even now he's confessing too that I'm firm and free from doubts, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. So now that's where it is. I'm having little unclarity about. Yudhishthira also had a doubt, and for that his chariot came down and touched the grounds, as you said earlier in the beginning of the class.
So the answer is the same, that Arjuna, externally speaking, he is now free from doubt. But the internal thing is that he was free from doubt from the very beginning itself. Again, it's this answer is the same. See, for every event, there is an external reason and there is an internal reason. External reason is, yes, Arjuna, he's playing it's like actors staging a play for the benefit of the audience. So here Arjuna is staging a play for our benefit. But Arjuna was free from doubt from the very beginning itself. Same thing. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So you see in chapter 1, verse 21, this verse actually marks the end of the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So Krishna Arjuna Samvad, or this conversation now it comes to an end with verse 73. The last 5 verses of the Gita are spoken by Sanjaya. So this conversation started in 121, where Arjuna asked Krishna to take his chariot between the two armies so that he can see the two parties. And this conversation ends with Arjuna telling Krishna that now I am free from doubts and I am willing to act according to your instruction. So how does this conversation start? It started by Arjuna telling Krishna, you do my will. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, you take my chariot. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, you do what I want you to do. And it ends with Arjuna telling Krishna, I am willing to do what you want me to do. So this is how this samvad, this conversation begins and ends. Now we will see Sanjaya's predictions. The last 5 shlokas are spoken by Sanjaya.
Sanjaya uvacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanah samvadamimam ashrosham adbhutam romaharshanam.
Translation. Sanjaya said, thus have I heard the conversation of 2 great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end.
So Sanjaya is feeling so much ecstasy after he has heard this conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and he says that because of that ecstasy, his hair is standing on end. So there are 8 ecstatic symptoms of devotional service. And one of those 8 ecstatic symptoms is hair standing on end. So Sanjaya, he's feeling that ecstasy after he has heard this conversation.
Vyasa prasadat shrutavan etad guhyamaham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat kathayata swayam.
Translation. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
So Vyasa Prasada, Sanjaya says, Vyasa Prasada. So he's saying by the mercy of Vyasa, by the mercy of my spiritual master only, Sanjaya says that I have been able to hear this confidential conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, who's the master of all mysticism. I mean, Krishna, he calls Krishna as Yogeshwar, the master of all mysticism. So you see how he acknowledges the mercy of his spiritual master. Sanjaya is not saying that, oh yes, I was able to hear this because I am qualified or because I am the chosen one. He gives the credit he acknowledges that it's by the mercy of Vyasadeva, it's by the mercy of his spiritual master only that he was able to hear this conversation. Because remember, it was Vyasadeva who gave him the ability to be able to watch this war live, although he was inside the palace of Dhritarashtra.
राज स्मृत्य संस्मृत्य संवादं इममद्भुतम् केशवार्जुनयोः पुण्यं हृष्यामि च मुहुर्मुहुः.
Translation. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment.
So Sanjay is saying that he is repeatedly recalling this wonderful conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and he's taking pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. So anyone who hears, learns, studies this conversation, this Bhagavad Gita, he can feel thrill. Krishna consciousness is an adventure. Krishna conscious life is not a boring life. Spiritual life is not boring life. It is full of adventure. It is full of realizations. And Srila Prabhupada also comments this in the purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, let's read this.
The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment.
So this is an adventure. It is something that gives us thrill, and it's very, very entertaining, because the Lord, you can see how the Lord reciprocates. The more we advance in Krishna consciousness, the more the Lord shows us how he is reciprocating. You know, when some of you have shared your experiences with me, and I'm very grateful to you for sharing your experiences with me, how your life has changed after the classes, after taking to the chanting of the holy name. And you realize that how, yes, it's this Krishna conscious life is full of adventure. Every moment it gives us thrill. It's a book that is life changing. Our life is never the same again once we learn the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so this is a disclaimer for everyone who wants to learn this knowledge. Your life is never going to be the same again. It is going to be better. It changes for the better. And Sanjay also says that how he is being thrilled at every moment after he has heard this pleasure.
तच्च संस्मृत्य संस्मृत्य रूपमत्यद्भुतं हरेः विस्मयो मे महान् राजन् हृष्यामि च पुनः पुनः.
Translation. O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I'm struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
So as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, what is this wonderful form of Lord Krishna that Sanjay has seen on the battlefield?
With all his opulences?
Yes, the Virat Roop, no, the universal form that Krishna showed to Arjuna, even Sanjaya was able to see, thanks to the mercy of his spiritual master Vyasadeva. So this form Krishna, this universal form Krishna had not shown to anyone else before. This before he showed it here. So Sanjaya was able to see that, and he's saying that as I remember that Virat Roop, as I remember the form that Lord Krishna showed, that he struck more and more with wonder, and again he's feeling happy, he's feeling joyful. The last verse of the Bhagavad Gita.
यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीविजयोद्भूतिर्ध्रुवानीतिर्मतिर्मम. ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे मोक्षसन्न्यासयोगो नाम अष्टादशोऽध्यायः.
Translation. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion.
So the Bhagavad Gita began with Dhritarashtra Uvacha, with Dhritarashtra inquiring what is happening on the battlefield. No, he's eager to know what will be the outcome of the war. So he inquires from Sanjaya that after the two armies have gathered, what's happening. So Sanjaya now is answering Dhritarashtra's concern, because Dhritarashtra wants to know, he was eager to know the outcome of the war. Sanjaya is saying that outcome is certainly on the side of the Pandavas. He's answering Dhritarashtra's concern here by saying that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there will certainly be opulence, victory, power, and morality. So he's clearly telling Dhritarashtra that definitely the Pandavas are going to win the war. Now he refers to Krishna as Dhanurdhara. Dhanurdhara means
Carrier of
the bow and arrow.
carrier of the bow and arrow. So if you remember in chapter 1, Arjuna put his bow aside. He puts his Gandiva and he says that I cannot fight the war. So he says my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand. So you can see in the photo on your left how the Gandiva is on the chariot and he's saying that I'm not able to fight. But now because Sanjay is referring to him as Dhanurdhara, which means he has the Gandiva now in his hand, which means he has carried that Gandiva. It's there in his hand and he's ready to fight. So this bow of Arjuna, this Gandiva represents our determination in Krishna consciousness, our determination to carry on with our daily sadhana, our determination to follow the 4 regulative principles, to chant the holy name. What happens is when we are engaging in devotional service, Maya, because of the service that is allotted to her, she is going to try and tempt us to move away from Krishna, because that is her service. That's what she's expected to do. Therefore, we have to be that much more determined to carry on with our Krishna conscious activities despite any kinds of opposition or any kinds of hindrances that are coming in the way of our spiritual life. So this Gandiva represents our determination. When our determination is slack, when we are not feeling enthusiastic, when we feel down and out, and we are not able to carry on with our sadhana, if we take the shelter of the pages of the Bhagavad Gita, if we flip through the pages, if we read even one shloka, we read some part of the Bhagavad Gita, then it will help us to be determined again, to lift that Gandhi bow, to again be determined and be ready to fight our own battles in our lifetime. So this Gandiva, you see, Arjuna put it down, and now in the end, he's being referred to as Dhanurdhara, which means he has the Gandiva in his hand, which means that now he has the determination to fight. Srila Prabhupada comments in the purport. Let's read this text.
Bhagavad Gita 18.78. Arjuna's illusion is now gone, and he is acting according to Krishna's instructions. Krishna, the driver of countless universes, is driving the chariot of Arjuna.
So this is the cover page of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is Krishna is the driver of the countless universes, and he is driving the chariot of Arjuna, and Arjuna is all set to fight. You can see in the picture, he has the Gandiva and he's all set to fight the war. Let's read the summary.
Summary, chapter 18, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Verse 1. The 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is both a synopsis and the conclusion of all the Gita's teachings. Since the Gita stresses renunciation of material activities and engagement in spiritual elevation, Arjuna asked Krishna to explain definitively the purpose of renunciation, tyag, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. Verses 2 to 12, in reply, Krishna reiterates that renunciation does not mean giving up all actions, since this is impossible for the embodied soul. It means rather giving up fruitive actions and instead performing prescribed duties without attachment to their results. For those who are not renounced, the fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death, whereas for the renounced, there are no such results to suffer or enjoy. Thus, a wise renouncer is liberated from the bondage of karma. Verses 13 to 18, Krishna then explains how one can act without material reactions. He cites Sankhya philosophy, which delineates 5 factors that contribute to the accomplishment of all actions, viz. the place of action, the performer, the senses, the endeavor, and the supersoul. One who, thinking himself the exclusive factor in actions, not considering the other factors, especially the supersoul, the final cause, is in ignorance and becomes entangled by the fruits of his work. But when one acts according to the direction of the supersoul without personally motivated desires, his actions do not entail material reactions. Krishna thus indicates to Arjuna that if Arjuna acts according to his directions, Arjuna will not be the actual slayer, nor will he suffer the consequences of killing in the battlefield. Verses 19 to 40, the three modes of nature predominate in different aspects of human psychology and endeavor. Knowledge, action, workers, intelligence, determination, and happiness each have three types as regulated by the three modes. Krishna systematically analyzes this. Verses 41 to 48. According to the material modes, one is assumed, one conforms to one of the four occupational divisions of human society. Brahmanas, teachers and priests, Kshatriyas, rulers and warriors, Vaishyas, farmer traders, etc., and Shudras, laborers. Krishna enumerates the respective qualities and duties of each of the four social divisions, varnas, and explains that by adhering to the duties prescribed by one's own occupational division and by offering the results of one's work to the Lord, one can attain perfection. By working in accordance with his social duty, which is determined by the modes of nature, the conditioned soul can ultimately transcend the modes. Therefore, it is in Arjuna's best interest to act according to Kshatriya principles and fight in the battle for Krishna's satisfaction. Verses 49, Krishna concludes that one can attain the highest perfection of renunciation by control of the mind and by complete detachment from material things and material enjoyments. Verses 50 to 54, Krishna next explains the stage following renunciation, attainment of Brahman, the preliminary joyfulness resulting from freedom from material desire and duality. In that state, Krishna says, one achieves pure devotional service unto me. Verses 55, Krishna then imparts to Arjuna the decisive conclusion of all his teachings. The ultimate duty of the jiva is to surrender unto him in pure transcendental love and devotion. Only by devotion can Krishna, the supreme absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, be understood. By understanding Krishna, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Verses 56 to 58, acting always under his supreme protection, always conscious of him, his devotee transcends all obstacles of conditioned life and reaches the spiritual kingdom by his grace. Verses 59 to 60, Krishna warns Arjuna that even if he neglects his divine instructions and under the influence of illusion avoids his duty, he will still be compelled to fight by his conditioning as a Kshatriya. Verses 61 to 62, realizing Krishna as a super soul in the heart, the supreme controller and director of the wanderings of all living entities, Arjuna should fully surrender unto him and thus transcendental peace and attain the eternal abode. Verses 63-64, after instructing Arjuna to deliberate on this very confidential knowledge, that is, surrender to Krishna's former super soul, Krishna imparts the most confidential part of knowledge, the supreme instruction, the essence and conclusion of the Gita. Verses 65 to 66, one must relinquish all and duties with karma yoga, dhyana yoga, the social religious duties of the social orders, attainment of Brahman and Paramatma, etc., and simply surrender unto Krishna as his pure devotee in eternal transcendental loving service. The eternal and supreme Dharma, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Give up all the varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore, you have nothing to fear. Verse 67, in the next verse, Krishna states the qualifications for understanding the Gita. Excuse me. The hearer must be austere, devoted, non-envious, and engaged in Krishna's service. Verses 68 to 69, one who imparts Krishna's teachings is Krishna's most dear servant and attains pure devotion to him. Verses 70 to 71, one who studies the Gita worships me by his intelligence, and one who hears its teachings with faith is freed from all sins. Verses 72 to 73, in the final climax to the narrative of Arjuna's dilemma, Krishna inquires, have you heard this with your mind at perfect attention? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Arjuna confidently answers, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and now I am steady and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Verses 74 to 78. In a brief epilogue, Sanjaya, who has been narrating the entire conversation to Dhritarashtra, rejoices in ecstasy at having heard the sacred dialogue. His hair standing on end in joy, he concludes, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion.
So with this, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we come to the end of the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and also the entire Bhagavad Gita itself. So especially we would like to thank Srila Prabhupada because as the text here says, so many years of education, yet no school, college or institution taught us how to love Krishna. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for teaching us how to love Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Okay, so congratulations to all of you on your graduation of Vedic studies. I have already received the answer papers from many of you. A few more are left, and with that we will bring officially an end to this course. When is Janmashtami in India? Is it on the 19th as well? Like here it's on
19th August.
19th August. Okay. So on Janmashtami, we fast till 12 midnight because that was when Krishna was born. He appeared at 12 midnight. So we fast till 12 midnight. If you can do it, then please fast till 12 midnight. If you cannot do it, then you see how far you can go. Okay. And the next day of Janmashtami is the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada. Very, very important. And on the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, we fast till 12 noon. So that I would request all of you to please follow fasting, complete fasting till 12 noon on the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, which is the next day of Janmashtami. And then 15 days after Janmashtami, here in Chile, at least it's on the 3rd of September. Please check your Vaishnava calendar for your location, is Sri Sri Radha Ashtami. Radha Ashtami is the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada said that Radha Ashtami is even more important than Janmashtami. Janmashtami is only an indication that, hey, remember Radhashtami is coming in 15 days from now. So Radhashtami is even more important than Janmashtami. See, when Srila Prabhupada referred to Krishna, many times he would refer to Krishna as just Krishna. But when he referred to Srimati Radharani, he applied double honorific titles. Srimati Radharani, you see, so double honor for her. So she is, Krishna's name is Madan Mohana. He is the attractor of thousands of cupids. But Srimati Radharani, she is Madana Mohana Mohini. She is that personality who attracts Madana Mohana, the attractor of thousands of cupids. So Srimati, on the appearance of Srimati Radharani also, we fast till 12 noon. And I would request you to also follow that fasting and get her mercy. Now, what's going to happen to us, our course, what are we going to do in the future? We need one session where we are going to only discuss your feedback and discuss how we are going to take it forward. So when are we going to do that? Let's see a date. Next Saturday, let's not, would you be able to make it for a class on 20th Saturday? It's the appearance day of Prabhupada. Any problem on your side or it's okay?
I won't be there, Mataji, and I really want to be in the last session.
Okay.
Mataji, even I won't be there.
Okay. So what about the 27th of August? Can we have that session on the 27th of August? Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, Mataji.
Yes.
Okay, so let's meet on the 27th of August, same time. We will discuss our future course of action. By the time you can finish up your exam papers and the certificates are also being ready, and we can bring this to a close. So we'll meet on the 27th and then we will see what happens next. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are there two exam paper in the 18th chapter?
No, only one exam paper. The second, no, actually the first exam paper has a couple of mistakes in the numbering. Therefore,
Okay.
I put another paper.
Okay. So one more, it will be appear very soon, no? Or that is only the paper?
No, that is the only paper. There are no more
Okay.
papers.
Oh God, relief. So we are highly obliged and congratulations to you that a lot of beautiful, persons change the life of many people. And this is really congratulations to successfully we have winded up with your blessings naturally, So really we are highly obliged by this preaching.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much
you very
for
much.
your encouraging words. I'm also very glad that we have been able to finish this course. Because as I said, when we start devotional service, there are going to be many, many obstacles that are going to come our way because Maya doesn't play nice. But this credit goes to Srila Prabhupada and to all of us also for our determination. As we discussed in the introduction, that we are all fishes swimming against the current of the water. So it's not going to be easy. It's only a dead fish that even a dead fish can swim with the current, no? But we are all swimming against the current. So all of us have gone through many obstacles, and because of our determination, we have been able to completely finish this course by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj, by the mercy of Krishna. So congratulations to all of you. And see you in 2 weeks from now.
Thank
Okay.
you so much,
Thank you very
Mataji.
much.
With
Hare
deep
Krishna.
gratitude.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
And
Krishna.
Mataji, it would be
Hare
just
Krishna.
one session, or we are doing like 2 classes for the last class as well?
No, last class will be a joint class. The evening batch will now join in the morning, and we will have only one session in 2 weeks. Okay.
So you inform the time in the group, no, on 27th August.
Same time on our
Same
morning.
time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will inform
Perfect.
you. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Take care. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.